The world of 2,000 years ago was dominated by a great power. The Roman Empire stretched across vast lands from the misty shores of Britain to the sun-baked deserts of the Middle East. Its legions kept a firm peace, and its engineers built roads that connected distant cities. In Rome, emperors were often seen as divine figures, demanding loyalty and worship. Power was visible in grand buildings, organized armies, and a complex system of laws. It was a civilization built on strength, conquest, and the administration of many different peoples under a single rule. Far from the heart of the empire, in the province of Judea, lay a different kind of world. Here, the ancient city of Jerusalem stood as a center of deep spiritual importance. Its people, the Jews, held a covenant with one God, a God who was invisible and transcendent. Their faith was not in emperors or idols, but in sacred scriptures and long-held traditions. They awaited a promised Messiah, a figure who would restore their fortunes and bring justice to the world. Life in Jerusalem was shaped by religious rituals, temple worship, and a powerful sense of a unique destiny. It was a land filled with spiritual longing and hope for divine intervention in human history. Into this setting, a man named Jesus was born in the town of Bethlehem. He grew up in Nazareth, a quiet village in the region of Galilee. As a young man, he began a public ministry, traveling from town to town. He did not seek political power or military might. His message was one of profound simplicity and love. He spoke of God not as a distant ruler, but as a loving father who cared for every single person. He taught people to love their neighbors and even their enemies. His words offered comfort to the poor, the sorrowful, those who felt left out. The tension surrounding Jesus' ministry came to a head during the Passover festival in Jerusalem. He entered the city to the cheers of many who saw him as a promised leader. However, the authorities viewed him as a threat to public order. He was arrested in a quiet garden, not for leading an army, but for challenging the religious and political establishment. His trial was swift and conducted under pressure. The Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, ultimately consented to the demands of the local leaders. Jesus was sentenced to crucifixion, a brutal Roman method of execution, reserved for rebels, criminals. This was meant to be a public display of Rome's power to crush any perceived dissent. His crucifixion was a moment of profound sorrow for his followers. The man who had spoken of love, a gentle kingdom, was put to death in a public, humiliating way. To all outward appearances, his movement had been defeated. His disciples scattered in fear, despair. The cross, a symbol of Roman imperial cruelty, seemed to be the final word. It represented the victory of earthly power over a message of peace, spiritual renewal. A few days later, some of his women followers went to his tomb and found it empty. Soon after, his disciples began to report extraordinary experiences. They claimed that Jesus had been resurrected, that he had appeared to them alive. This claim was the turning point. It transformed their despair into unshakable conviction. The resurrection was not just about one man returning from the dead. For them, it was a sign that God's love was more powerful than even death, the might of the Roman Empire. It was a profound message that hope could triumph over tragedy. Life could emerge from a place of finality. This belief in the resurrection became the central foundation of the new faith. It gave Jesus' followers the courage to carry his message forward. They now understood his life and death in a new light. The crucifixion was no longer seen as a defeat, but as a purposeful sacrifice, an ultimate act of love for humanity. The empty tomb became a symbol, not of absence, but of ultimate victory. New beginnings. This conviction filled the small community of believers with a renewed sense of purpose and a fearless energy. They felt compelled to share this news, believing it was a message of universal hope for all people everywhere. At first they spoke to fellow Jews in the city, explaining that Jesus was the long-awaited Messiah. Small communities of believers started to form. These were not formal institutions with grand buildings. They were simple house churches, sharing meals, praying together, supporting one another. These small, intimate gatherings became the nurturing ground for the fledgling movement. They fostered a deep sense of community and shared identity as followers of the way. This grassroots structure allowed the faith to grow organically, from person to person. A key figure in this early expansion was a man named Paul of Tarsus. Initially a persecutor of the new faith, he had a dramatic conversion experience and became its most energetic missionary. Paul was uniquely suited for this role. As a Roman citizen and a deeply educated Jew, he could bridge different cultural worlds. He traveled thousands of miles across the Roman Empire, Antioch, Corinth, Athens, and Rome itself. He established new house churches in major urban centers, wrote letters to them offering guidance, encouragement, and theological explanation. These letters, which became part of the New Testament, were vital in shaping beliefs. The message spread effectively through the empire's networks. The Roman roads, built for legions and for trade, became conduits for these new ideas. Missionaries like Paul traveled along these routes, carrying the story from one bustling port city to another. This growth was slow and often faced challenges. Followers of Jesus were a small minority, and their beliefs were often misunderstood. They refused to worship the Roman gods and the emperor, which many saw as disloyal. This led to suspicion and, at times, local persecution. Despite these hardships, the communities persisted. Members were known for strong ethical commitments, care for the poor and sick, and tight-knit fellowship. This quiet witness, mutual support, and love was compelling to many observers. For nearly 3 centuries, the Christian faith grew as a minority movement within the vast Roman Empire. Its relationship with the state was often difficult. At times, Roman authorities launched organized persecutions. They saw Christians' refusal to join state cults as a threat to imperial unity. These crackdowns were terrifying and produced martyrs. Martyr stories inspired and strengthened the faithful, yet persecutions were sporadic and localized. Between them, long periods of relative peace allowed quiet expansion across cities and provinces. Christian communities showed remarkable resilience. Hardship often strengthened resolve and purified commitment. The faith spread by conviction and example. The turning point came with Emperor Constantine. Before the pivotal battle of 312, he reportedly had a vision of a Christian symbol. He was told he would conquer in this sign. After victory, his attitude toward Christianity changed. In 313, he co-issued the Edict of Milan, granting religious tolerance. Christianity became legally protected. Constantine funded churches and elevated Christians to high office. Bishops moved into public roles. House churches gave way to grand basilicas. Later, under Theodosius, Christianity became the empire's official religion. The transformation from a small Judean movement to the dominant faith of the Western world was complete. The journey of Christianity from a small sect in a remote Roman province to the official faith of the empire is a story of quiet, persistent influence. It was not a conquest of armies but a transformation of hearts and minds that unfolded over generations. The message of Jesus, centered on love, forgiveness, the dignity of every person, offered a profound alternative to imperial power, to social hierarchy. This message resonated with ordinary people across a vast, diverse empire, providing a sense of meaning and belonging that transcended their earthly circumstances. The faith grew not from the top down, but from the bottom up. Today, the core themes of this story continue to hold a lasting human meaning. The idea of hope in the face of despair remains a powerful force. The story of the resurrection, whether understood literally or metaphorically, speaks to the possibility of new beginnings and the belief that love is stronger than death. It suggests that even in moments of profound loss and apparent defeat, a way forward can emerge. This enduring promise of renewal has offered comfort and strength to countless individuals throughout history, providing a spiritual anchor in a world that is often turbulent and uncertain. It is a testament to the human need for hope. Equally important is the emphasis on community. The early house churches created a space where people could find mutual support and acceptance. This model of fellowship, individuals care for one another as part of a larger family, continues to be a central aspect of the faith. It highlights the human need for connection, the power of a supportive community to sustain individuals through life's challenges. Ultimately, the story of how Christianity became an empire's faith is a lesson in the power of nonviolent influence. Profound change can come not from the sword, but from a gentle idea that captures the human imagination.